For the past 5 months, Francois Tardy says the occupants of an apartment in the building he owns have made this Hochelaga Maisonneuve street a nightmare.
People going up and down all the time, smoking crack all over the place, sitting down in that location, defecating and urinating over there, howling at people, screaming at each other.
The engineer and part-time Concordia University professor said in March a new tenant signed on for a 1-year lease. He says complaints from neighbors began almost immediately.
One of my tenants, he called me and he said, "Francois, you realize that you just invited a crack house up there." I'm like, "What?"
Tardy supplied Global News with videos showing people appearing to consume drugs in the open in broad daylight, among other disturbing activity. There's an elementary school just steps away. He called the police.
I thought it would be a quick resolution, but it was not.
He says police advised him to get in touch with the provincial housing tribunal to move toward an eviction. For months, he says police were unable to put a stop to the alleged drug-dealing hub. There were people smoking crack, people bleeding after having bottles smashed over their heads, says this neighbor. Tardy wondered if Bill C-5 was the reason police were slow to react. That's the federal legislation passed in 2022 that required police and prosecutors to consider alternatives to laying charges for the simple possession of drugs. In its wake, Quebec relaxed its approach to people caught with small amounts of drugs.
They searched the place, but they couldn't find anything incriminating because everybody's organized to carry small amounts of drugs.
Tardy's June hearing in front of the housing tribunal was delayed until the end of September. He says just last week a Molotov cocktail hit the building. Days after that, police stepped in and made 3 arrests. Breached by Global News, the Montreal Police pointed to a press release on their website touting the arrests and saying how peace in the neighborhood is a priority for them.
They're taking it seriously, but that doesn't mean that my troubles are over.
Tardy is hoping the housing tribunal allows him to evict the tenant in a few weeks. He advises other landlords to be extra careful.
Listen to your little voice, because nobody wants this to happen in their building.
Dan Spector, Global News, Montreal.